Good morning guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's video, we're going to be running 20k zone 2. It's currently 5:30. Oh, and the quote of the day is that when it comes to running, you are going to get the time that you deserve, not the time that you want. And that is such a fit, like a perfect fit for this week's training, because I have felt like this week. I had one good run on Tuesday, but otherwise I suffer with endometriosis. So for anyone who doesn't have that, essentially it's a really awful disease that makes women suffer with period cycle symptoms times 10 on steroids. So it's really, really difficult. Drains you of energy, feel very emotional, you're in quite a lot of pain. So I've been suffering with that this week. I've also tweaked my back in the gym. I had a sports massage that fucked my legs up, so it is just all not happening this week, and I have felt so shit. And here we are, I've got to run 20k today, and my volume of my training went up to 65k this week. So all of those things that have happened this week, it goes back to the quote that I've just said, is that I will get the time that I deserve, not the time that I want. And in these hard moments, this is exactly what we need to do. So, as I sit here sipping my Monster at 5:30 in the morning, after what has been a really difficult week, and I actually sat on the sofa last night and I just cried, because I was like, I just feel so shit. But I know it's just temporary feelings, but we can't act on emotion. Like, you have to do the training first and then decide how you feel, because that ultimately, when it comes down to achieving the time that you deserve and the time that you want, is that you have to apply yourself consistently, time and time and time again, regardless of how you feel. How you feel is not even a deciding factor when it comes down to your marathon prep, because it's got to be a test of resilience and determination in understanding why you need to do what you need to do in order to get there. And this is the week that my training went up to 4 days a week running, obviously still with the 2 lower body days in the gym. And it ultimately, of course, it's going to test me, it's going to push me, it's going to feel hard, it's going to feel challenging. But that comes down to, on the day, what is the time that I deserve? It's the time that I fucking turned the hell up for, and I stuck to the promises that I made for myself, and that was doing the training every single week. We do not miss runs. I do not miss my runs. And therefore, when I turn up on the day, if I achieve that time, it's because I damn well fucking deserve it, because I did the work. We can't expect to just pluck a time out of nowhere, do half the runs, turn up on the day, and then feel disappointed. You can't feel disappointed from the result that you didn't get from the work that you did not put in. So the moral of today's story is, don't care how you feel, how demotivated you feel, how tired you feel, how cold it is, how rainy it is, how much your legs are tired, you have got to go and turn up and do the shit that you promised yourself you would do. And that is the difference between someone who achieves a result and someone who doesn't. So I know what one I decide to be all of the time. So on that note, let's go and get it. So I think when it comes down to achieving the time that you want on a marathon, at the time that you, my camera wonky, lovely, sorry guys. When it comes down to achieving the time you want, I think I was having a really good discussion with one of my clients, and this is really about, on their first marathon, what time goal should they set? And we were really talking about, and I was saying, like, the reason I don't think personally that you should set a time goal for your first marathon was because it's your first marathon, and the goal is to complete a marathon, which is such an unbelievable achievement in itself. And it's such an incredible journey. It's a tough journey. Training for a marathon is hard. And I don't care what anyone says, it's not easy if you train for it properly. You know, it has its challenges, of course it does, because it's a lot, it's, you know, it's time, it's effort, it's energy, it's resilience, especially for you guys in the UK right now. So the reason that I spoke to her about not setting a target and a goal really would be off a few things. One is the fact that a marathon in itself is an incredible achievement, and the first time you're doing it, you'd be basing a time off an expectation of a desire that you think sounds like a good time. And that's where it can get a little bit messy, because as I said, you get the time that you deserve, not the time that you want. And I think I know that a lot of people underestimate how hard it is to train for a marathon, let alone to train for a fast marathon. And one thing that I said is really important is that actually you lay the foundations of doing your first marathon. You spend a lot of time doing zone 2 training like I'm doing now today, where you're measuring your heart rate, you're making sure you're in your zone 2, aerobic, easy runs, you know, clocking up the miles, making it more comfortable for yourself, you know, you're exploring all these new distances. And then you complete the marathon on that basis, which is an unbelievable achievement, and you cross the finish line, which I would say for most people is the most phenomenal achievement. Is, you know, I think first and foremost, crossing the finish line without stopping is an achievement in itself, because a lot of people don't do that. So that's what I said to her. I was like, you finishing and crossing the line is the biggest achievement of all, and that's the first goal. And then when you've laid the foundations and you know what time that took you, you can then start basing your time off of that. Because a lot of people ask me, you do race pace runs, and the reason I do race pace runs is because I already did the race. I did the first ever marathon with no time expectation, and then I based my time progressions based off of my first marathon when I didn't set myself a time, and I just ran it mostly aerobically, and then I pushed myself towards the end. So, one of the main reasons that I say to just be proud of doing a marathon with no time expectation is also when we're setting expectations and we're wondering why we're not achieving something, why it's not happening. Most of the time, you've plucked that goal out of absolutely nowhere. Like when you want to lose weight and you're like, oh, I want to lose 2 kilos this week. You have no idea how to get there. You don't know how much of a calorie deficit you need to be in, how many steps you need to do, what that would take, and is it even possible for you to do that? And that's the same with the marathon, is that so many people will pluck a goal out of nowhere and they'll be pissed off that they didn't get the result. But you didn't know how you were going to get there, you didn't have the data. The only way we can be accurate on anything is by having the data. So, sorry, our mate is having the data. So by completing your first marathon, you get the data. How fit am I? What work did I need to do? What did I get wrong? What do I need to learn? And now I can start training for the time based off of what I achieved. And actually, if you achieved a 6-hour marathon, you know you've got a lot of learning lessons to do, and you didn't do your training how you needed to. If you achieved a 4:20, you did all your training, you ticked all your boxes, then you can set your marginal goal of sub 4 by making sure you've actually got a plan of action, you've got the data, and you've got the proof, knowing that you can actually get there. I'm shooting my heart rate up, but knowing that you can get there is not, you know, when I went in for this 3:45, I had no idea if I could get there. But what I did have was the data to say that I stuck to my program. I went from a 4:11 to a sub 4, a 3:57, and then what I knew is I had the data to say, okay, well, if I could take that amount of time off with the time frame that I had and the consistency that I was able to bring up,
if I could add more time, more training, more experience, more consistency, more turning up, more strategy, then maybe I could achieve it. But all I knew is that if I had all of that data, all of that information, all of those tools, and I applied myself in the way that I can, which is showing up every fucking day without fail, that it may be a possibility. It's going to be a push and it's going to be hard, but I know that I can turn up and do everything that I possibly can. So on the day, I'm never going to feel disappointed if I don't get it, because I set realistic expectations on what I could do, and I knew that I'd have to push myself for it. But I had the evidence that if I did all of the work, the result could come. And if it doesn't come on the day, at least I know that I did absolutely everything I could to have got there. But I can't be disappointed because the strategy was there. Everything was in place for me to achieve this marathon. It was just about whether my body could do it or not, and whether I could push myself enough to achieve that. So on that note, let's go and finish this run, because I've still got a little way to go. I've still got 8k to go, and yeah, I want it to be over. There we have it, folks. We have just finished 20 kilometres, 6:08 minutes per kilometre, average heart rate of 136, 100% in zone 2. And this is the effect of when we can build up that zone 2 and build up that easy aerobic, keeping that heart rate nice and low and steady. I've just finished 20 kilometres and I feel absolutely fine. That's the effect that we want to try and have, so that when we're building up for that marathon, ultimately when we get to that marathon day, we can run a lot of that marathon, you know, easy aerobic, and you feel comfortable, you can get through the pace, and then towards the end you can absolutely go for it. But the idea is that you're not dying on all of your runs, because when you train in the zone 2, it will compound and you get fitter. So now we're off. I'm gonna go get some food, or it's dark that way, isn't it? Gonna go and get some food. Really bloated today. Cycle is here, endo is in full power, but do you know what, as always, I might not have felt like it before the run, but I'm so glad that I did it. So